Welcome to Thrive and Rise with Tiffany, where transformation meets purpose and self-discovery leads to impact. Today we're going to talk balancing self-care, high achievement, anxiety, and depression with our special guest, Shaaree McCalpine, founder of Faith Soars. Shaaree, I am so happy to have you here today as our special guest. Before we dive into the questions, I'd love for the audience to get to know you. So can you tell us what inspired you to become a counselor? And was there a personal experience or moment that led you down this path?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really overwhelmed, worked at Henry Ford Nursing, and every day I just felt like I needed something else. I got into an incident, and I don't want to get into the long story of it, but it just was a young lady, a coworker that we were friends, but however, it was just the one thing, you know how they say the one thing that breaks the camel's back, the straw. She could have said good morning and it would have been a problem because I already was on edge. But she did this little thing where we had this, what do you call those little bazaars where you can buy little trinkets? I was going to buy a purse, and I said, no, I'm not going to get it, or I put it on hold, and she went out and got the purse and came back, and it was on from there. However, that sent me into a tailspin, and management wanted to fire me because they said that that was way too much. You know how a one event and you take it to a 10 reaction, but I didn't know what that was about. However, they give you a decision. You can either take anger management or they were going to let you go. So I chose anger management. And when I got in to speak with the therapist, she said that I was depressed. And that was the reason that anger was showing up in that manner. However, I've seen anger and depression look different. So I was like, no, I'm not depressed. That's crazy. I get out the bed every day. I'm good. I can do all the things. However, that clinical diagnosis and hearing that and understanding that we don't have always the right definition of what things look like led me to go to school to become a therapist so that I can explain to other women that it's not like what you may see on TV with people running down the street or in the bed constantly and hearing all the definitions. It can look totally different. So for me, that was my mission, or is my mission, to make sure that the definitions fit what we are experiencing. I always say that mental health is an inside job, so it's not a one size fits all.
That's awesome. That's an awesome journey, and that's so important. People don't realize always what depression looks like.
Yeah.
Being a counselor itself is a demanding job.
Absolutely.
Demanding emotionally, mentally, and even physically. How do you personally balance the work you do with your own self-care?
Yeah, so again, when you hear me talk, I definitely figure out what definitions mean, because we have been taught a lot of things and we automatically ascribe different thoughts to words because that's what we know. I believe that there's no such thing as a balance, right? So it's an illusion. We can't balance things because It's not on a scale. The kids may require 90% because right now they may be doing something, they may be sick, they may be having a crisis. So I can't balance that 90% with 90% of a job. So it's more so prioritizing. So I have to prioritize what's important, what's in front of me in that moment, and then everything else orbits around it so that it doesn't have me believing that, oh, if I'm not doing 30% here, 30% here, and 30% here, I'm not doing it right. And that way, it now takes away from the demand that I'm doing self-care. So my thing is being able to prioritize what is important in the moment and then moving forward from there. And having a therapist, because she definitely 100% talked me off of a ledge many times.
Amen.
Yeah.
You mentioned balance, and balance is so important. You've worked with so many individuals struggling to keep that balance and do it successfully. And then you have different responsibilities that come in day to day, or they have different responsibilities. And so they're trying to balance those responsibilities, their success, and their mental well-being.
Right, yeah.
What's one common thread you've noticed among high achievers dealing with anxiety and depression?
The common thread is feeling like you're a failure if you can't do it. Then that means you get back on the treadmill, back on the hamster wheel, and you try to push harder. I hear so many of my clients say, oh, I'm just going to push through. I'm going to push through. What I then talk to them about is most of us have been working since we were 12, 14, those summer jobs, and then going on and on and on, and haven't had to take a break to really sit down and understand who you are and how that looks. So you are prioritizing and balancing things that you haven't really sat down and figured out what it is that you're balancing. I'm balancing career and I'm balancing self-care. I talk to people about what is self-care to you. Like, it could mean for me getting on a flight going to Puerto Rico, but for you it could mean I just need a break from these 3 kids for an hour so that I can close my eyes, or I can take a shower, or I can think. So that's what I say when I'm saying there's not a one size thought that even through the media that, oh, we got to do self-care. You have to know what self-care means to you. So giving people the opportunity to rest in their own narrative, and then we can move forward. Because I can't help you with a narrative that's mine. I need to know what you're thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome information. And I know you've been able, with everything that you've done so far in your career, you've been able to take it to a national platform. And you've been featured as an expert on shows like Fatal Attraction, For My Man, and Snapped. How did you step into that space, and what was that experience like for you?
So I think that I've been manifesting TV my whole life, because being little, I swear I go right in the house, look at Lost in Space, loving the commercials, all the things. I love TV. Like, I don't know when people be like, I love TV. But however, I didn't do it. It definitely was God appointed. It definitely is part of the assignment and the divine order that the Lord is taking me in, because I wasn't doing anything. A school counselor over at Redford Academy, helping a little boy get through his classes scheduling, and just got a phone call from a producer and said, hey, I saw your picture. I was drawn to the name of your company, and I wanted to know if you wanted to do an episode on, at that time it was For My Man. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And ever since then, just been that go-to person. I actually have a taping tomorrow for Fatal Attraction, and then a taping for My Man on Thursday, and then I have an international podcast for ADHD on Sunday. So it's just unraveling the way that it's supposed to when you actually get into the flow of what you want to do. But that's my whole point of being able to understand who you are by taking a break and really sitting down and remembering, what did I like to do when I was a little kid? Like all those things that we did as children, it was for a reason. When we used to do the hokey pokey, that was to release anxiety from people's bodies and let them be able to sit still for a longer period of time. That jumping rope, all those things are important. And like when you said that you've been writing since you were 6, those things are God-given dreams and creativity to move you next level. But if you never get a chance to sit down and say, I used to love writing, what happened to that? I loved coloring, what happened to that? So those are the things. I always thought I was special, but I didn't know that it would be on this level. So that's God just putting the extra on top of the favor he's already given me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Now, the shows that you're on, there's a lot of tragedy on these shows.
Drama,
each episode, drama.
Yeah.
But these shows often explore intense and sometimes tragic situations. How do you mentally and emotionally prepare yourself to discuss such heavy topics on national television?
Yeah, listen, that's a lot, especially when the people are still alive and then they get a chance to interact with you. So preparation for sure is meditating, calling the Holy Spirit in I need your strength. I need to see if I'm saying the right things, because I never want it to come from a space where it's my ego telling somebody else what to do. So those tragedies are more so, it looks like it's something different, but they happen all day long in normal situations. But because it's all compiled into one reel and you can see it on TV, it looks like, oh wow, that's super traumatic, that crime. But it's a buildup of things that, for lack of better words, normal people go through, and then the true thing snapped, or I did it for my man because I don't feel like I have another option, right? So there is just the buildup of what I've already heard or experienced from clients from real life, from back in the day. Like it was a lot of stuff going on that happened before that you can pull from experiences. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think the rise of true crime and media coverage on trauma has impacted how people view mental health, stress, and high pressure situations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like, and I was just speaking to to my makeup artist today on her take about the shorts that come on social media, the reels, and she was talking to me about a therapist who said that people need to learn how to navigate normal life and not view that as a mental health crisis. You know, I totally disagree with that, because right now we don't have a normal life. The things that we are experiencing right now have never happened in 20, 30 years. So what's normal? People have had to be isolated for 3, 4 years during COVID, which we know even in the prison population, isolation has been a problem when people are put by themselves. When you look at things from a perspective of how you live, you may have been with family and friends, but there was a lot of people who had time just to be by themselves and not know how to deal with that. So again, because of it being so hot button topic that now anybody can say anything, and then that gets into the minds of people, and people use it, unfortunately, in order to get out of crimes, to say, oh, I was mentally impaired, I have a mental health issue, and to use it for the worst, or labels for different things. So yeah, the impact is real.
It is. And protecting your mental health and your mental well-being is extremely important.
Absolutely.
What do you hope viewers take away from your appearances, not just about the crime and psychology part of it, but also protecting their own mental health and well-being?
Yeah. So, they let us have a spiel at the end on what you can do to protect your mental health. For me, I just want people to take away from this isn't an isolated incident, and that you can be manipulated or brought into this just as a normal everyday person if you don't take time to understand the things that are going on in your own life. There can be a time when you feel like you don't have another outlet. If this person is paying your rent, taking care of your children, you're not working, and they have this much control over you, and you can fall into situations that you wouldn't normally fall into. So having a good support system, making sure that you see not just any therapist, but actually navigate to a therapist that's good for you, not just good, but good for you, to be able to help you through those situations.
Life is so busy and so hectic for so many people, and we're always on the go, 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 especially as Americans. That's a big thing. We're constantly working. With your platform growing, how do you stay grounded and ensure that success doesn't come at the expense of your mental health?
Girl, listen, it's a lot of work, like, for sure, because there are so many aspects to being successful, being Black, being a woman, being a mother, being a wife, there's always something that you have to deal with, dealing with adult friendships, dealing with betrayal, like, it's a lot. So for me, the grounding has to happen with consistently talking and processing with somebody. Also, sitting down and putting together who I am. I sit and I actually meditate, and again, I know that I bring the Lord into it because I have a real relationship with Him. So I can keep grounded on, all right, to much who is given, much is required. I keep scripture in my head that grounds me to what I'm supposed to be doing and what my assignment is, so that I don't go off the rails thinking I'm supposed to do everything for everybody, because that busyness does play a part. Because it's like, oh, that show just called you, you got to schedule that. Oh, but you got to make sure that your husband don't feel like he being neglected and not getting dinner tonight, even though inside I'm feeling like, you go make your own dinner, but that's not right. So I have to have him, tap me on the shoulder and be like, listen, this ain't what we signed up for. Having people to really tell you when you aren't doing what you should be doing in a space that you signed up for. So yeah, I could literally be like, oh, okay, sign up here, here, here. Oh, and then I'm gonna go to Tiffany thing, and then, oh, let me write this book, and then I have other things that I'm supposed to be doing. So that's when you set the balance. That's why I said it's a priority. Like, for me, the priority is like, ooh, I can't wait to help all these people. I can't wait to get this book out. But I have to also know that I still have other pockets of things that have to be accounted for. So just keeping it on my whiteboard, girl, you gotta have you more than this one piece. That's what I write on that board, for real. When I wake up, girl, you more than one thing. You have other things to do. Absolutely. So just write it out or put it somewhere where you can remember that you aren't just one aspect. You are a three-dimensional person. You got a lot of stuff that you have to do. But everything don't have to be done.
It doesn't. But so many of us do feel the need to constantly achieve, constantly be productive. That's a part of society. You have to constantly be doing and be productive to be successful. Why do you think so many of us tie our self-worth into how much we achieve?
Yeah, because that's what we were taught. That's what I taught you about learned behaviors. Like, when we were growing up, you do your work, you get A's, it's a blueprint. Like, this is how you are going to be successful. We were taught all these things, and we bought into that's what you're supposed to do. You're constantly supposed to be working. If you're working, you're not being lazy. It's just the point that we have to unlearn some of those behaviors and slow some things down, because your success is not tied into the doing.
And then with all of that doing, inevitably, can come burnout if we're not careful.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines, and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now.
Call 855-662-0261. That's 855-662-0261. Again, 855-662-0261.
Hi, I'm the tax lady. Do you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS? Then listen carefully. You may be able to pay the IRS less and save thousands of dollars because right now there are special government tax programs for people like you who owe the IRS. We can even help you if you have unfiled tax returns. And if you qualify, you'll pay less money to the IRS or state. Stop worrying about wage garnishments and bank levies and call the number on the screen right now for a free tax review. We know what you're going through. We help good people like you every day pay the IRS or state less taxes all the time. If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, call now for your free, no-obligation consultation with a tax professional. Don't fight the IRS alone. Call the Tax Ladies team today.
Call the Tax Lady at 877-335-7471. Call now.
Hi everyone, it's Tiffany Tilley, and I am beyond excited to invite you to a life-changing event. March marks the kickoff of the Thrive and Rise monthly book club and the launch of the Thrive and Rise podcast. We'll be diving into the first book in the Know Thyself book series, A Journey to Self-Empowerment. And I can't wait to get started with you all. Join me here at the Motor City Java House, where we'll connect, explore personal growth, and take this journey to self-empowerment together. I've poured my heart into creating this space for you, where we will uncover the tools and practices to break through limitations, overcome self-doubt, and step boldly into our purpose. And here's the best part. I'll have discounted copies of A Journey to Self-Empowerment available in person, so you can get your signed copy directly from me. Come for the inspiration, stay for the community. And don't forget to grab your free cup of coffee while you're at it. RSVP today by emailing knowthyselfbookseries@gmail.com, or you can find us on Eventbrite. Let's rise together. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share so that we can reach more people who need this.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call CarShield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through CarShield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is gonna break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through CarShield.
Best of all, you'll get access to CarShield's concierge service, who can even help you find a mechanic near you.
They're notifying the family.
Poor guy, he doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called CarShield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
CarShield has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and was voted America's most trusted auto protection company. It's time to call CarShield now. Call 800-636-1039.
With that burnout being inevitable, how can we recognize the difference between normal stress and when someone's mental health is truly at risk from exhaustion or breakdown?
Yeah. So again, it's not a one size fits all, because your stress level can be different than my stress level, because you may be able to do all these pieces and still do this because you had the grace to do it. I may not be able to do what you're doing. That's where self-awareness comes in. That's where self-care comes in. When you feel like I've done all that I can do and I'm right here, but I'm like, I got to push forward, I got to push through, that's when your stress is too high. Because we have something called high achieving stress and depression, which means that you can go to your tolerance, but because your mind is telling you you can do more or you have to do more, then you try to push through and do something else. A lot of people can recognize when there's too much to do and you just stop and you don't want to do nothing and you feel like I just want to go to bed and you're not working at your highest level. That then tells you that you're reaching the burnout stage. That tells you that you no longer have grace for the assignment that you're supposed to be doing. And you have to take that moment and take a break. It may be a week of not doing anything. I know so many of my clients that I can't even get them to sit with a timer for 1 minute without moving, doing anything. You don't have to do nothing. And that is something that they cannot do. And when we think about it, even in the room, the assignment of sitting and not doing anything is a hard assignment to do. And I'm not saying start off at 20 minutes, a half an hour. Literally, I'm like, let's see a minute. So I have to back it down from a minute. Because we have been taught to eat the whole elephant.
Exactly. And with a lot of that, it's because people start feeling guilty.
Yep.
They start feeling guilty if they're letting others down,
Yep.
if they can't help everybody that they want to help or
Yep.
do all of the things that they want to do.
Absolutely.
So how do high achievers deal with that guilt? And how do we start unlearning that guilt and embracing self-care as a necessity, not as a luxury?
Right, absolutely. So the thing is that we're going to feel guilty. That is an emotion that is there. You're going to feel guilty. However, learn to work through the guilt is a different thing, and understanding what guilty is for you. Like, I know for me, when I was working and overworking, the guilt was, I should be doing this so that this person has a better life, so that my children can do this, so that, you have to know what the why is. When you understand what the why is, then we break that down to see, is that for them or is that for you? Is your perception that if you are not doing all of these things, that you are going to be viewed differently than you want to be viewed?
Absolutely. Can you share a moment in your own life when you struggled to balance it all, and how did you overcome it?
Man, that first marriage, I definitely struggled with working and trying to take care of my children, because I felt like I had failed them by picking the wrong partner, and now that would affect them. So I definitely was overcompensating, doing the most, and doing all these things that wasn't necessary, because my kids didn't even feel that way. I felt that perception, and I was the one who became overactive in trying to make sure that everybody knew that I didn't need this person, and this, I'm gonna do it on my own. The realization came to me when I understood who I was, and that it didn't matter that it's a divorce, that doesn't now give me this label that I have to be something that I'm not. But again, it's because I was able to sit down and evaluate who I am and not who I think that other people see me as. And does it make a difference if somebody sees me as lazy? So what? But that comes at a price, because it's hard to feel like people see you in a way that you know it's not you. Now, because I've done all the hard work, girl, lazy, not lazy, sideways, I'm all right. It's okay. So
and people will try to put you in their own box and put their own labels on you.
Because it's easier for them, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not working to the 100% that Tiffany is working, then now I got to up my game or feel like I have to. So now if I say something negative to you, it don't even have to be negative, or just put that seed in your head. Now I can bring you down to the level that I'm at, and now we're both doing. So it's okay, really figuring out who you are. And
not comparing yourself to others.
Yeah. I mean, and you can compare. I can literally compare myself to you and be like, oh, she did this and she did that. Comparison is okay if it's a healthy comparison, so that I won't be sitting on my phone scrolling. Well, girl, you see Tiffany was doing that, and you know that your assignment you haven't done. That's a different comparison, as a comparison to say, oh, she doing that, I have to now do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what has been one of the most fulfilling moments in your career so far?
It's so continuous, but definitely when a client says to me that I'm what they needed. Or just yesterday, I was speaking to one of my clients, and she was like, I was going to do this, but I heard your voice in my head, and I was like, nope, settle, sit. I was like, what? You better pay me my money, because I love that for you. But absolutely, I just believe in what I'm doing. I believe that we have such the next level versions of ourselves that need to be unlocked. But because we get stuck in areas, we then aren't able to move to the next level.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice about balance and self-care, what would it be?
I would tell little Shaaree that you can do all the things, but you don't have to do all the things. You know, that's just you have greatness in you, and you don't have to prove it to anybody. Yeah, I would definitely give her some more love. Yeah.
That's some great advice. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. For someone juggling a demanding career, family, and personal goals, what are some small but powerful self-care strategies that they can implement right now?
Mm-hmm. Right now, figure out your why. What is it that I'm doing this for? Why am I doing it? And literally put it in one sentence before you start to do anything else. Then understand the time that it's going to take to do it, and then figure out if that is of value to you. Everything isn't valuable to do. You have to figure out for yourself what it is. And once again, the overall arching umbrella is self-care is understanding self-awareness. If you figure out who I am, look back, and you can do this today when you're sitting down, get out a piece of paper and write down all the things that you used to love to do as a child. Maybe it was playing jacks, maybe it was running, maybe it was writing a book, maybe whatever, the coloring. Write down all the things that you like to do, and then see if any of that is incorporated in your life today. And then if you don't see any of those similarities, figure out why. That is going to take you to the next level of self-care, because there's something missing. All those things that you did in the past, They were there just joyously. Like, that was your joy. It was fun. You didn't have to think about it. That's what's implanted in you as desires from God. So if none of those things are implemented in your life today, there's a reason that there's a lack and a deficiency. So just go home and do that little piece.
That's important. I had to implement that strategy as well in my life. And also I had to think about what were some of the things that I wanted to do that I never took the time to do.
Yeah.
And start implementing those in. And that made a big difference as well.
Does. And write yourself the biggest thing, and it sounds super easy, but forgive yourself for whatever that may have been. I forgive myself, and don't try to do punctuations and figure out. Just start writing as fast as you can or slow, whatever it is. Write it and then fold it up, put it away for a day, and go back and reread it. It will let you then have a different kind of release on, oh, okay, I forgive myself from that, but I can definitely move forward from it.
It's grace. It's giving yourself grace.
We give everybody else a
Exactly.
Like, you would never play your friend the way we play ourselves. Like, they could burn up a whole orphanage. We'd be like, girl, it's okay.
It's okay.
Listen, what can we do? But let you do it. It'd be like, oh man, you done did it now. You never gonna return from this. So just being okay with you.
Absolutely. What are some effective coping mechanisms for dealing with anxiety and overwhelm, especially for those who don't have time for a full therapy session or long breaks?
Oh, okay.
So someone's life is super hectic, super busy.
So first of all, you make your schedule. So that right there is just an excuse that there's no way that everything is super hectic, super busy. So if that is the case, I'm super hectic, I'm super busy, I can't fit anything else in, I need to look at the schedule. Because that right there tells me that you aren't really considering you. You should definitely, whether it's when I get up, in the middle of the day, I need to put myself on this schedule. If you have a planner, you put yourself on there. I know, like, I'm super busy. 5 minutes, make yourself a timer, it goes off. Even if you don't do it the first day, keep doing it. Each day that timer goes off, it's gonna trigger your mind to say, dang, I'm supposed to be doing something for myself. Even if you go back to this hectic schedule, that timer is going to alert you that you are betraying yourself. So that's what I would suggest, that you pick a time in your day, because you make your schedule for 5 minutes at 12:05, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to sit here. I may color. I may listen to a meditation, whatever it is, but just for 5 minutes on your schedule, put it on there for you. There is no way in the world that we are given 24 hours out of a day and none of them include you.
Absolutely. You're giving us some great advice on how we can improve our lives.
Listen, it didn't just happen.
So I know earlier, before we started filming, we talked about some workplace issues. How can people create realistic boundaries at work and in their personal lives to protect their mental health without feeling like they're letting others down?
So first we have to get out of the idea that we aren't going to let somebody down. It's just going to happen because people have an expectation for you that may not be your expectation. So if you are expecting me every single time to say yes to you, you're going to be let down. That don't have nothing to do with me. So that's one thing. Secondly, we have this whole thing of boundaries. You have to understand what it is that you want before you go around talking about, I'm setting a boundary. What is it that I'm saying? Are you saying I don't want people to bother me between 1 and 1:15? If that isn't a boundary that you're setting, you also have to let the other people know that this is the boundary I'm setting. What I've come to find out is people are like, oh, they crossed my boundary, but the person never knew that was a boundary for you. So you have to be very open, authentic, and vulnerable with how you want to be treated, respected, and how you want people to spend or waste your time. You get to choose. And I feel like somehow we got into a space where we no longer felt like we had power to decide on Thursday at 1 o'clock, I don't want to talk to nobody because that's bothering the other person, it'll be okay. People say that you are mean, it's because you aren't giving them what they expect at that time. But the minute you go and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this for you, then you are now the good person. All those kind of words are subjective to what you are doing for a person in that moment. You have to learn how to start being good to you. That's the boundary that you want to set. It doesn't matter if I'll just say I want to put my feet up and eat ice cream at 2:16 and I don't want to be bothered. It is okay. That is what I'm going to do.
I love it. And boundaries are so important. I think a lot of us many times fail. I know I had a hard time learning to set up those boundaries and those clear expectations. And that's something I continue to work on. Can you give a little more about the strategies for boundaries?
Yeah, because people, I feel like the word was just thrown out there and everybody just start using that word. It's okay. A boundary, you still have to have a consequence behind the boundary. There isn't anything about a failure with it. Okay, it's not a brick wall. We're human. We aren't at the Gap folding shirts. Things happen. I may have a slip up. Okay, it's my life. I get to slip up with it. So when you set this boundary of at 2 o'clock, I am only going to spend time with myself to 2:15 to 2:30. What happens if a person then, knowing that you only want to be bothered from 2:15 to 2:30, what happens if they cross the boundary? What is the consequence for that happening? So I understand that people know how to set up boundaries, but they then don't give a consequence if it happens. The consequence for me, if I set that boundary and I let other people then decide that it doesn't matter, the consequence for me is that I no longer have the time to myself. And I will write that down. You allowed yourself to be betrayed by you today, and this is what happened. And when you keep writing that, you then get stronger and powerful to say, I don't want to write that no more. So I care about me more than I care about this person. So it may happen 20, 30 times. I don't know, 1, 2. But it will then allow you the chance to say, I value me more than I value hurting or disappointing somebody else.
That's good. That's really good information. I'm going to start doing that.
Oh, I hope so, yes. Okay.
Many people feel like they have to be strong and handle things on their own. How can we break the stigma around asking for help, whether it's from a counselor, a friend, or even just taking a break?
Yeah. That is hard. It really is. And I won't give y'all the false sense that that's not a hard thing to do. Because when you are saying, first of all, I don't know what your strong is. So I'll just use the regular common strong that I'm independent, I could do it myself. It's usually because I know that nobody else is going to do it. And I know that if I reach out and ask you to do it and you don't, and you let me down, now in my mind, because of past experiences, I'm like, see, I knew that was going to happen. That's exactly why I should have did it myself. And that then builds up these bricks that make you feel like I'm in this by myself. So it's really not about being strong. It's definitely more on the weaker side that I don't want to be hurt again by, I don't care who it is. The fact is that you still have to open up and ask for what you want. You may not get it all the time, but you still have to do it. That's the strong part. We have it backwards. The strong part is in the asking. The strong part is in the still being vulnerable. The strong part is still being open. Even if I get hurt, I'm still open to do what I got to do.
Perfect. If someone is experiencing anxiety or depression, but it feels like they don't have time to deal with it, what would you say to them?
It's cool. The body is going to deal with it for you. So you definitely can say, hey, I don't have time for this. I'm too busy. But then it's going to show up in anger. It's going to show up in you being in the hospital. It's going to show up in being flatlined where you can't get any work done. It's going to show up in brain fog. Your body is not designed to be in a constant state of anxiety, flux, depression. All those things are manifestations of not taking care of yourself. So if you are too busy, it's okay. It's going to show up and it's going to hurt you in a long way. Being busy is just an excuse for not taking care of yourself.
For those who feel stuck in a cycle of stress and exhaustion, what's one actionable step they can take today to start creating change in their lives?
Write down what the stressors are. What are you saying is stress? Just sit down and put down all the things that you believe are stressing you out, causing you stress, causing you anxiety. I don't care if it was the puppy ran across the street. Put it on the paper. When you review that paper, the real answer is going to show up for you. Because all the things we say are just one aspect of things. It's like, oh, okay, I did this, this, and this. But it's not three things. It's one umbrella of one situation. All the other parts are just examples of what that stressor is.
What's one mindset shift or habit that has been most transformative for the people you've worked with?
Defining what the narrative is for their life. Like not going along with the status quo. Oh, I have high functioning anxiety. Then I ask, what does that look like for you? You know, the mind shift is unlearning behaviors that was taught to you and you still go along with it without asking the questions. One of the stories that I'm reminded of is when they had Thanksgiving dinner and the daughter asked, why do we keep cutting the ends off of the ham? And nobody knew. Well, grandmama did it, great grandmama did it, they cut the ends off. And then finally her mother said, oh, it's because the pan was too small and she had to cut it off back in the day. So it didn't have nothing to do with cutting the ham, it was to fit into a situation. And that's what we do, we fit into situations based on the limited information that we have. I would suggest that you now gain information based on your experiences and move forward from there.
Absolutely, love it. You are just such a wealth of knowledge.
Not a wealth, okay.
You are such a wealth, and we've only seen a snippet, I know, here today.
Right.
And I know there are people that are here and that are watching that will want to get in contact with you, want to reach out and find out more from you. And so can you share your information with everyone? How can people get in contact with you? What's the best method?
So I am Shaaree McCalpine, and that's on every social media. It's SHAAREE, McCalpine, MCCALPINE. Also, you can go to my website. It's Faith Soars Counseling. And you can always just do a regular text or phone call at 313-365-0958.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you want to repeat that one more
Google
time? Repeat that number one more time.
Oh, 313-365-0958. But I did a Google search, and it's all on there as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this portion of the show, tell us, what is your personal mantra or affirmation that keeps you grounded and motivated so that you can thrive and rise?
I can do all things through Christ, but I don't have to do all things by myself.
Amen. Say that one more time. Look into the camera and say it loud.
I can do all things through Christ, but I don't have to do all things by myself.
Amen. That was worth repeating.
Yeah.
So, as we continue our journey of growth and connection, let's take a moment to hear from our sponsors who make this podcast possible. After this brief message, we'll return to address questions from our audience here live at the Motor City Java Cafe in Detroit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines, and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now.
Call 855-662-0261. That's 855-662-0261. Again, 855-662-0261.
Hi, I'm the tax lady. Do you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS? Then listen carefully. You may be able to pay the IRS less and save thousands of dollars because right now there are special government tax programs for people like you who owe the IRS. We can even help you if you have unfiled tax returns. And if you qualify, you'll pay less money to the IRS or state. Stop worrying about wage garnishments and bank levies and call the number on the screen right now for a free tax review. We know what you're going through. We help good people like you every day pay the IRS or state less taxes all the time. If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, call now for your free, no-obligation consultation with a tax professional. Don't fight the IRS alone. Call the Tax Ladies team today.
Call the tax lady at 877-335-7471. Call now.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed that brief break. Now it's time to dive back into the conversation. We're going to take some questions from our live audience, and we're excited to hear their thoughts. Let's get started with our first question from the audience.
I want to thank you for your presentation. It was very, very enlightening. And my first question is, well, first of all, I want to say there was a time when we as African Americans, we didn't share mental health. We would share it not with the public, but we would share it with the clergy. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is, and I'm just paraphrasing what you said in regards to young people, how do you help them to develop their multiple intelligences, or how do you encourage them to develop the multiple intelligence?
Okay. So first, and thank you for that question. First of all, I was in the school, and I do a group in the school now. It's called Girls Soar 2. To help them develop, we have to remember that we don't want to stifle their creativity, how they think, what's going on with them. So I allow them to be expressive and to give the knowledge that they have in this moment, but then give them the tools. And by tools, I mean help them to understand what anxiety looks like, help them to understand what depression looks like, help them to understand what healthy relationships are, because that's a lot of the area where they tend to turn from being this creative being and being emotionally well balanced to now trying to conform and fit in to friend groups and figuring that piece out. So giving them definitions on what that looks like, helping them to understand that it's not always going to be a good fit, but you still have to understand who you are, and helping them to understand what conflict is in that space. So I give them a lot of tools, but making it healthy and fun so that they understand they're not doing anything wrong.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you for that question.
And then we're going to take a question. LaRon is going to read a question off for us.
All right, this is a question from the audience, and they wanted to know, how do you know if you are being too good to yourself or not good enough? That's the first part. And the second part would be, how do you know what you deserve?
Okay.
Good questions.
So those are absolutely good questions and heartfelt, which means that you are now getting into your inner self, even to ask that question. When you are asking, how do you know if you're being too good to yourself, that automatically tells me that you're not. You are not being good to yourself, because that wouldn't be a question of your inner mind to say, am I being too good to myself? Because at the highest level, you should always be too good to yourself. You cannot then be good to others and still feel like, dang, I don't have enough for me. The fact is, when we talk about, oh, we pour from an empty cup, that's never a thing. Our cup should always be full. And then whatever falls over is for other people. If you feel like, am I not being good enough to myself? You aren't. There's some work that needs to be done in order to help you move to the next level, where you don't feel the guilt, or you don't feel like I shouldn't or I don't deserve what I have. And at some point, somebody probably made you feel like, even though you have all these things, you don't deserve to have them. So working through that and doing a self-assessment, which we do in therapy, it'll give you an inventory of where you are lacking or falling short in understanding who you are and what you deserve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's it for the questions
Yay.
Today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise with us. Do you have any last words?
I do have a couple of workbooks that I feel like are very valuable to get you started. It's like a pocket me in your pocket. You can carry it along with you, or you can get you a good therapist. And I think I mentioned to you before that good therapists are subjective. I know that I'm an amazing therapist because I put the tools, the experience, and the Holy Spirit with what I do. But there are so many other amazing therapists, but make sure that you find one that fits with you.
With you saying that, how do people go about finding a good therapist? What should they be looking for?
Okay. So you, first of all, it's just like what you do with anything. If you get a job, you interview your person. When they're interviewing you, you're asking them, how much money am I going to make? What's the culture look like? You're asking the therapist these questions. You can also go online. What should I be asking? You should be asking them what their specialty is. What do they look for? How do they define what they do as far as what you need? I want to come in and talk to you about something that happened in my past. Ask them, do they deal with that? Is that something that they're good with? You ask all these questions in your first session. Therapists, they're big girls and boys. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. On your first experience or appointment, you go in with an open mind. But if it doesn't feel right to you, because again, mental health is an inside job. If it don't feel right to you, hey, let me go on to the next one. We have very good directories. Therapy for Black Girls, Psychology Today, Clinicians of Color. You can find a therapist that is good for you. She may be great for me, but when you talking to her, it's like, nah, this ain't hitting right. Tell her thank you for your time. Does she have any other recommendations? And you move forward. But you interview your therapist because you are most likely going to be with this person for a long period of time, and you don't want to have to keep telling your story over and over again. So the first time, the same way when you go to a doctor, if they talking about giving you pills or cutting you and you don't want that, you'll be like, let me get a new PCP because this ain't it. That's the same thing we do with therapy. Don't be afraid of saying it. And the one last thing I want to say, I had to break a lot of my clients from saying, I've been with you for a year. Ma'am, you come to see me once a week for, that ain't no year. Y'all have to really start thinking of of time frames. You've been with me for 1 hour out of a week. That's not a year. We got work to do. And even when we are discharged, like some people only need a couple of months, and it's fine. But don't just leave because you feel like I've had this time with you, and then you flatline because you don't remember all the tools, or you just want to talk, and now you calling me back. I need an emergency appointment. Call me when you want to, so that some people literally don't have nobody to talk to. And I know that people are like, the therapist shouldn't be your friend. We not doing that no more. We not telling our kids they not our friends. We not doing that. If you need to talk to somebody because there's nobody else in this world that you have, and we connected, girl, call me. I got you, sis. Come. You said what happened? Yep. Let's talk through it. So that's how your therapist should be. And that's what you're looking for. Somebody that's connected to you, that values you, not values your money or your insurance rate. They value you and what you're going through internally.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you for coming on. And I want to thank everyone here in the audience for joining us, everyone watching for joining us. Thank you for joining this episode of Thrive and Rise with Tiffany. We hope today's discussion has inspired you to grow, connect, and thrive in your personal and professional life. To further your journey of self-discovery and empowerment, we invite you to explore the Know Thyself series, designed to deepen your understanding of self-awareness and personal growth. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your support helps us reach more listeners and continue providing valuable content. Stay connected with our community for more empowering episodes. And as always, keep thriving with Tiffany. Thank you.